A quick question for Jim, and then a question for you. The process of selecting the new police chief, you played it pretty close to your vest, obviously. Did you consider at some point public forums, even for your internal finalists? Any sort of public, a meet and greet maybe? Did you have any more? Were there ever more than one candidate you were really seriously looking at closely?
The answer to all those questions is yes.
Okay.
The reason that I settled on Jon Sassaman were the reasons that I outlined in my statement, in my prepared statement. What I can tell you is that over the course of the last 4 months, this has been a community forum for me, with my opportunities to get out into the public, to talk to numerous community groups. I've never once turned down an appointment that would be made at City Hall to speak with members of the public who said, I'd like to come in and tell you what you need to do to find the next police chief. And those things all occurred. And so while it may not have been a traditional community process, there was the community input. And as I stated in my statement, taking all of that into consideration convinced me that we did in fact have the right person for the job within our own department.
The department's facing some pretty severe financial challenges going forward in the next few years. In general, how are you prepared to deal with those? And kind of on a follow-up question, what would you hope the hallmarks would be of your term as chief of police when we're looking at that a few years down the road?
Let's start with the budget process. You know, I've been attending all of the budget meetings. I've been present to listen to the process, the decisions being made, and of course, the Chief Boldizsar and I discuss these matters routinely within the organization because the budget affects the multiple different divisions within the organization. So the budget's not new, it's very familiar, and I feel comfortable in being able to move forward into the coming years. We're certainly going to have challenges as a citywide budget, and we're going to be part of that solution, and we'll just have to cross those bridges when we get there each year at a time. In terms of the long-standing hallmark, I haven't even started yet. June 1st is the day. Let's get there first.
Anything else, Mike?
Well, I do actually, but
Fire away. Fire away.
obviously you all have been working real closely and watching the ongoing OSU City of Corvallis collaborative efforts. What will, and obviously there's a role for the police department in that ongoing process. How do you see, what sort of options are you considering as part of increasing the police department's role in that? Is it a matter of maybe assigning an officer to the neighborhoods that are near campus? What sort of options are on the table as you keep an eye on that process? I guess this would be for both of you, actually, now that I think about it.
Let me tackle that first. That collaboration effort is led by the mayor, and some of the things so far that have come out of that are concerns about parking, traffic, neighborhood livability, and then a host of things that are dealing with just the campus itself. Now, all three of those things are things that we are dealing with now and have been dealing with for years. There's potential for an additional parking district. That we feel that if we have an additional parking district, we're going to have to hire some more staff in the parking enforcement area, which is not a general fund account. It's a parking account itself, which is can handle an additional FTE to handle that additional work. On the other side, the traffic and neighborhood livability issues are pretty much things that our patrol staff respond to. And we've been doing that for years, and it has not been easy. With the increasing population, student population, the calls for service have increased around campus. Now, as far as assigning somebody there, for years we have had our great liaison program where we have an officer assigned to every one of the fraternities, and they communicate with those groups. They assist them in planning some of their events. Sometimes they're invited to do that, and they're a resource for those groups to try to keep things under control and to have successful events at the fraternities and sororities. That's what we do now. I don't see a whole lot of leeway in our staffing now or in the future to help to add staff to that problem. We can certainly work with the university, the Office of Student Conduct, and others to find solutions to those problems. And we have come up with a few solutions that have eased some of the situations with our change in ordinances regarding the second response ordinance and things such as that have helped somewhat. But there is no perfect answer how to fix this. It's just something we'll have to work through.
Don't know that we're going to solve every single problem, but we do need to be part of the solution, and we do need to be part of the discussion. And if there are ways that we can work collaboratively with the university and the student population and the leadership, the student leadership at OSU, we will explore those opportunities and see how we can institutionalize a safe environment for the students not only on campus but off campus as well.
I'm Gail Fulton,
Yes.
How much would an external search for chief have cost?
Because of the additional background and extensive background checks, in consulting with the Human Resource Department, we were looking at anywhere between $25,000 and $35,000 for a search. And that may have been just if we had kept it to a more regional type search. A national search could have cost a bit more, but that's a fair range.
I'm Tim Smith. I have a little blog called the Benton Crusader News. There's been some pretty serious scandals over the past few years in the Corvallis Police Department. You know, we had Cox arresting people who were innocent. Jim Crane, who was a sergeant who was beating up on women. We had Hutchinson. We had the Townsend shooting, where an officer who shot this person, many feel in the community, was not held accountable for that incident. What are you going to do different? And obviously these all occurred on your watch as captain. What are you going to do different to hold the officers accountable and to set the standard, I guess a higher standard in the department as to what's already been kind of exhibited?
I don't know that I would characterize any of those events the way you would characterize them. So I think the approach is very different. We remain with a very high ethical standard. We hold ourselves accountable, and that means transparent operations internally, and if we have an officer who errs, we appropriately address that error.